Hello and welcome to Comic Book Yeti's Cryptid Creator Corner. I'm one of your hosts, Jimmy Gasparo, and it is a very special day on the podcast today because it is this guest not first, second, even third or fourth appearance. It is the fifth appearance on the podcast of Cullen Bunn. He is back. We have so much to talk about. He has joined the Cryptid Creator Corner Five Timers Club. If you're a big Cullen Bunn fan like I am, you can go back. Cullen has been on once a year. Back in 2022, we talked Shock Shop. Him and
Oh,
Brian
wow.
Hurt were on in 2023 to talk about the Sixth Gun Kickstarter that they did for the deluxe omnibus library editions. He was back in 2024 to talk Gotcha Man, and then he was on last year, right around this same time, actually, April 15th of 2025, almost a year ago. He was on to talk Arcana Royale and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff.
Wow.
But he's
You know,
back.
you say all those dates, and I'm like, all of that stuff could have been compressed into 6 months from I was like, "Oh, that was the last 6 months ago." That's when I was talking about Shock Shop. Obviously,
that was
you
that was
maybe a
four
maybe a
4
year.
years ago.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I was like, that
time
was 4 years
works.
ago.
I really would have said if, like, you caught me unaware and you just asked and I didn't think about it, "Oh, yeah, year ago, talking about Shock Shop." Sure.
Yeah. Well, um,
Wow.
sorry about that.
No, thanks
Time
for
is a
yeah.
sorry to bum you out. But thanks for coming back
Thanks
on
for
the
having me.
podcast. I really appreciate it. Um, we have lots to talk about. I know this is a podcast, but we do sometimes get a chance to put these on YouTube as well. So for anyone watching this by video, I do have my copy of Deluge #1 from Ignition Press, which we're hopefully going to talk about a little bit because you've been doing some stuff with Ignition Press, and I want to hear all about that because they're kind of a newer publisher to the scene. Um, and I like a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and I've picked up a couple of their books. And then also, I hope to talk about you have, I think your first like prose novel, Bones of Our Stars, Blood of Our World is out, and I want to talk about that. And yeah, you've had like a podcast before the colonoscopy, but now you're doing a video component to it. I didn't get a chance to I know you have a couple episodes out. I didn't get a chance to watch all of them.
Right.
Um, but I did see that you had Stephen Graham Jones on.
I did.
And yeah, that I watched a little bit of it. I want to go back and finish and watching the rest of it because that's what I like just to hear towards the end of it the two of you kind of go back and forth and talk about different stuff that you're into and interested in. I thought was like that's the kind of stuff I like what not necessarily like directly inspires a creator, but stuff that they're enjoying and things that they're getting into. And so I want to talk about yeah, that as well. And then anything else you got
All
going
right.
on.
Let's do it.
But let's start with the Ignition Press stuff. So kind of I know about Deluge with you and Marika Cresta. And I think you're also doing Ripcord with them.
I am. Yeah.
And so kind of how did that relationship with Ignition Press come along?
Well, while Ignition is a new publisher, I've known all the folks who were involved pretty much as long as I've been in comics. So I've known Eric Gitter and Jamie Rich and Jeremy Hahn and Philip Savlik. I've known all of them for just forever. So it doesn't feel like a new company to me. And it feels like working with a very vetted group of professionals. And when they were putting it together, Eric called me early on in the process and kind of gave me a hint that this was coming and talked to me a little bit about, books I might want to do with them. And and then as it became more real and it kind of took shape, there were more phone calls and more meetings and I started, I pitched them a bunch of different books, bunch of different ideas and we were off to the races. That was it. I Deluge was one of the first books I pitched to them. Ripcord was one of the first books I pitched to them. So it was just a matter of finding the right art team and getting the books going, and it was, so far, it's been a blast to work with them. I don't think it's any secret to say that I've got several more projects in the works with Ignition after Ripcord. They haven't announced the next project yet, but I think it'll probably get announced relatively soon, and, and there's more beyond that.
Oh,
They've
awesome.
they have been very open to all of my dumb ideas, so
Oh, well, that's good. Uh, yeah, I mean, I like that, going through and looking at, like going on the website and looking through some of the books that they're either about to put out or have put out. I mean, there definitely is kind of a horror bent to it. But there is like there's a bunch of different stuff that they're, you know, uh
yeah, they're
in terms
working
of
on
the stuff they're doing. Like I just had Jim McCann and Joe Eisma on the
yeah,
podcast talking about The Other Half, which is like a Nick and Nora Charles modern rom-com
yeah.
mystery, which is and it's if I don't know if you checked it out yet, it's delightful.
Yeah, they're doing just so many different kinds of books, and they're really, they're working with, just so many different creators, and they're really dedicated to, and they've made no bones about it. They want the creators doing the kind of books those creators want to do, and the books that get those creators jazzed about working on creator-owned comics, and they've not been shy about that. So yeah, of course, most of mine are horror books, but yeah, I think you know, they are open to all sorts of books, and yeah, I've seen tons of rom-coms and fantasies and everything else, sci-fi books coming down the pipe.
Yeah. And so, well, just to talk about the 2 that you have with Deluge is basically set, it's like a hard rain, at a women's prison,
Yes.
um, and yeah, I'm not, at least I don't think, too familiar with, Marika Cresta, but I love the art in the book.
Yeah,
Um
Marika's really great, and that book's a deceptive challenge. Even I didn't realize it when I was scripting it initially. It was a deceptive challenge because sh all these characters are wearing the same clothes. There's no they're all in prison, prison garb or guard uniforms. So to differentiate characters was a challenge for her. There are a lot of characters in the book, um, and they all have to be, given a visual personality. But yeah, she's great. She's done some Star Wars books. She's done some Marvel stuff. But I think she's awesome in this title. Um,
Well, the work that she's doing artistically with the hairstyles for the different
oh yeah,
prisoners is doing a
yeah.
lot of heavy lifting to identify who they
You
are.
have to. Only that's the way you do it in the comic. You have to use those hairstyles, and she does. She does it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you're, dealing with a book where although there is a lot inside in terms of like as the flood starts, but like every exterior shot it's raining. And I mean that can be a lot to try and make that interesting and to like to pull that off. But
Yeah.
yeah, she
What was
does a
what was I
fantastic
thinking?
job.
What was I thinking? Um,
Um, but yeah, she does a really great job of setting the prison scene, and then kind of when you know, uh, the the creature that we see on the cover that I showed, when they start popping up, I mean, the action, the expressiveness of all of that is really wonderful.
yeah, no, yeah, and Marika does such a good job with just the the monsters of it all and making the I mean, there's a lot of monster activity in that book, so, she brings it to life.
Yeah, yeah, she really does. I mean, I think it's a really great first issue. I mean, I I love, you I think are very good at taking, um, like some familiar type of concepts or setting and then just tweaking them or turning them or twisting them in a way which I find very interesting, and exciting, and you do something with it that I feel is, is unexpected and, talks about whatever particular issue that you're driving at with the particular type of horror story you're telling.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the goal. It's the really, it's kind of those are the kind of stories I like most. I love those. I love the stories that it's our world, it's a real place, and then some. But then here's the one thing that makes it not so real. Sets it apart. So I love
Yeah.
those. I love those kind of stories, and that book is inspired by uh, a very real place and a real event. There's a women's prison in ruins not far from where I live that I used to drive by all the time. This massive ruined building, and the story behind it is it flooded, and it flooded so rapidly they had to evacuate prisoners on boats and put them on buses and 18 wheelers and ferry them off to other prisons. So that part's all based in something that really did happen in the 90s.
Okay.
Uh, and then I just took it and added something awful coming up in the water.
Yeah. Which is the fun, which is
Right.
really the fun of it. And so your other series with them, Ripcord, um, and I just looking at Ignition Press's website, the drug known as Ripcord has become the scourge of the world, extremely addictive. It fundamentally alters who you are. So instantly, I thought instantly it made me think of Bone Parish, right? Like right away when you're
Yeah.
just because I was thinking, uh, Cullen Bunn
This
in a setting with uh, illicit drugs.
thi
Again, I was,
this drug might
and
be a
Bo-
little worse than the drugs in Bone
it,
Parish.
it sounds like it. And listeners, for any listeners that have not read Bone Parish yet, I mean, do it. It's just, it's absolutely, it's tremendous. It's one of my favorite series.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um, so yeah, so it sounds like Ripcord's a little worse. Fundamentally alters who the person is, and it seems like it's set up more of a revenge tale. Is that fair?
Uh, it's closer to that. The drug aspect it's important to Ripcord. There is a drug. But the story is about a woman named Dylan who her sister goes camping in Australia and vanishes. And Dylan goes out, strikes out on her own to find her sister. So it's really a story about this character Dylan wandering the outback, trying to find her sister, uh, and yes, running afoul of these ripcord addicts, but also running into trouble with the drug dealers who created Ripcord. And it's sort of it is a grindhouse action adventure story. I mean,
Oh wow!
it's
All right.
mean and violent, and no one gets out without some bruises and broken bones. And it's and it starts out with the search for the sister. And since the second issue is out, and I'm so it's not spoiling too much, and Dylan finds this Gatling gun called the Ogre that shoots railroad spikes. And if you can imagine what a Gatling gun that shoots railroad spikes would do to someone, it's a there's a lot it's a flesh churning a flesh churning, bone crunching action adventure story.
There you. That's a fantastic tagline.
Yeah.
Why the Australian outback? Is it just the like the isolated nature of it, or was there any particular reason that you set it there?
You know, I just liked the isolated nature of it. That was a big part of it. I liked that, uh, this isn't an apocalyptic story, but because of the setting, it kinda takes on a bit of an apocalyptic vibe, and I just felt like it it was the right it 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 was the right setting for this kinda grindhouse story, and I think of, I think of some movies that I like, uh, like Revenge and, like Wolf Creek and all. It's sort of a just
Yeah.
it's a dangerous story, and I wanted to set it in, like, the most dangerous place, I could really kind of imagine for something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, Australia, I mean, there's things about it that seem great. No offense to any Australians listening, but I've seen the size of your spiders, and I'm
The
not coming.
spiders. Yeah, the spiders. Come on.
I'm not I'm not coming. I'm
Right.
I'm not it so I get that. I get that aspect of it. Yeah, well, that sounds tremendous. And yeah, Ignition Press, I really like what it is they're doing, and certainly everybody there has a really great, pedigree in terms of the stuff they've done. Jamie Rich, in terms of the editing work that Jamie's done before. Jeremy Hawn has created some amazing comics. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Ignition Press is doing, and they have
Yeah.
a bunch of great stuff that's already come out and that's still to come out.
Yeah, and really, I mean, at the end of the day, their support of creator-owned comics and really, more importantly, the creators, it's, it's kind of, I mean, not to get into details with it, but it's a startling approach to me, and it's an exciting approach to comics, and, I really I hope people get on board with these books because, uh, they're doing some really awesome things, and we always talk all creators and readers and publishers. Everybody's always talking about publishers doing something. How does a publisher work to improve the industry? How do they really make things better?
Yeah.
Uh, my opinion is Ignition is walking that walk, and and if they're successful in doing it, other publishers are going to be forced to walk that walk as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Um, and that's the type of thing you wanna see. I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about, um I was on on the Fanbase Weekly podcast, and we were talking about, uh, whether or not, like, the an article, I think it was in Comics Beat, or about the rise of the superstar artist, and, the article in particular was talking about Nick Dragotta and Daniel Warren Johnson. And what does that mean for, like, the comics industry? And, like, the general consensus was, "Hey, great. Great for these artists, but, we really wanna see how if things are doing great for some of the publishers, like the Absolute line for DC, like, how that affects, everybody else. Like,
Right.
are people getting back into comic shops and people buying more stuff going to trickle down to writers and artists, in particular, page rates? Um, but a big part of that change is not just sales, it's how, I mean, it's a huge part of it, but also it's how publishers are treating the creators you know, that are making the stuff. So it's great to hear that Ignition Press is really, um, hopefully, one of the publishers that's kind of leading the way to make things better, for creators in the industry.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about the time I've spent working with them. So,
Awesome.
I think they're awesome.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad to hear that there's going to be more to come with you and Ignition Press. I can't wait to hear it when it gets announced.
So much more, so much more.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I have the first issue of Deluge. Thought it was great, and I'll definitely be checking out and getting Ripcord as well. Um, but I also want to talk about, as I mentioned, your book, Bones of Our Stars, Blood of Our World, a novel of terror. You can get it, I think, wherever you can get your books.
Yes.
So this sounds like kind of a slasher kind of masked killer situation that may be the portent of a far greater evil is kind of how the solicit sells the book.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair setup. It is
Okay.
this novel is about, the residents of a small town, coastal town called Wilson Island, and yes, there is a masked killer on the loose who is killing people and harvesting organs, and, so there's an element of, you know, trying to figure out who this killer is, fighting for survival, and and it is a novel that will start one way and will change completely before it's over. It's I set out with this book to write what I call a switcheroo story, where you think you're reading one thing and then N get ready, it's about to get really bonkers, really strange, and it's not you are not reading the book you thought you were. That was I mean, before I had a concept of what the story was going to be, I knew that's what I was going to do with this book. So, I think it's a lot of fun. It's a book with a big cast of characters, but I I put a lot of work into making each of those characters feel real and be alive, uh, and, uh, and it moves at a real clip. It is not a book that drags. It's written in such a way that it's gonna keep moving and keep you turning pages. And yeah, I think it's fun. It's there's a lot of action, there's a lot of horror, and it's got a big surprise, waiting for the readers who start it thinking they're reading one kind of book.
Oh, I love that you set out like to do that. You know that was your mission because I love stuff like that. I love when I think I'm reading one thing and it turns into something else, and when it can happen, unexpectedly where I don't see it coming is, I think,
Well, I'm sorry if I
a
spoiled it.
wonderful experience.
The the
No, no,
problem
no.
the problem with writing a book like that, as much fun as it was, is they're hard to market. It's hard for me to tell people what this book is gonna be about without saying,
Yeah.
there's a big switch coming your way.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was the toughest part of I think of this book is figuring out how to market it to folks.
Well, I mean, as someone that like has followed your career and your newsletter, and you've put out things where you've written short stories before. Um, why, like, was this something that was in the works for a while? Is this a situation where you had started to write like a novel before, and it's one of those where every writer is like, "Yes, I wrote a novel when I was 23, and it'll never see the light of day," or was kinda how did
Um,
this come about? Why did you wanna do this now?
well, I did start in I got my start writing, trying to write professionally by writing prose, mainly because I didn't know how to submit to comic publishers. I knew how to submit to book publishers and short story markets and things like that. So I started out writing prose really, and then moved into comics because I loved comics. And I've been there for a while. And if all things on the table, I wrote this novel because I was done with comics. I didn't want to be in the comic book industry anymore. Uh, and so back to the Ignition Press of it all. Without Ignition Press, I wouldn't be in the comic book industry anymore. I went upstairs. I went up from my studio one day after having some kind of soul crushing conversations with publishers, and I asked my wife. I was like, "Hey, uh, 14 years ago, you let me take a chance and quit my job and do something besides a day job and be a comic book writer.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take that chance again? Because I can't do this anymore." I I was checked out from the the crappiness of the comic book industry. So that's really and I was talking to my literary agent, and he's like, "It's time to write a novel, isn't it?" So I sat down and came up with the idea and started writing. So it's not a this isn't a book that's been around for a long time in my head. This is something that was in the last couple of years I decided
Yeah.
to tackle. And and I love doing it. I was both thrilled and terrified by the fact that this is all me. This is there's no artist who's gonna save the day. If I write a bad scene, an artist will come in and draw it amazingly. That's not gonna happen. It's all on me. So I love that. I really thought that was it was just invigorating. Um, and really if Ignition Press hadn't come along, probably wouldn't be doing comics right now. I just don't I just that's how much I believe in what Ignition Press is doing and how they're handling things is uh it's rough out there, right? Uh
Yeah.
and uh and to have a company that is kind of in your corner is a little different for me. Um
Yeah.
that said, look, and I love comics, so it was kind of heartbreaking to say I'm done. So I'm really glad I'm doing comics, with Ignition. That said, I'm working on the next novel too. I'm gonna keep chasing that high because I enjoyed working on the novel so much. And I
Yeah. I mean,
never
that
yeah.
yeah, it makes sense.
I never wanted to be a writer who just did one thing.
Yeah.
So, I've written comics and short stories and novels and, screenplays and some really, really bad poetry. And I just, I'm just I wanna try all the things. So
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I think that makes sense. Comics, for folks that do it as like it is their career, it is their job. It's a hard industry, and um, I and even for someone that I mean, I from an outsider looking in, I mean, I think you're one of the more prolific, comic creators of the last decade. I mean, I would look at in terms of the different series that you have put out like over different publishers. I'm hard pressed to think of anybody else that I could list, you know, so many different titles of stuff that you've done.
so Jimmy, you
Uh,
have to what you need to imagine though. All right, so imagine I'm writing all of those comics, right? And let's just say I'm writing them longhand with a pencil and piece of paper. The pages are going, and the pages are flying because a silverback gorilla is just throwing me around and just
yes,
just
no,
throwing me around like a rag doll as I'm writing these stories.
right.
That's how it felt for a little while.
No, I totally get it. I bring that up though to say that like it's a tough business, even for someone that like from an outsider looking in has done a bunch of different titles at different publishers. Like you have the experience to know. I'm sure you've been treated decently by some publishers,
Absolutely.
poorly, poorly by other publishers. Like you
Absolutely.
have someone that has probably uh I would say probably has seen it all. Um,
Well, you hear it all the time. Jack Kirby famously said, "Comics will break your heart." Right?
yeah.
That was his quote. And at the end of the day, I write stories about monsters and superheroes and you know talking animals or whatever else. It's not a bad gig. There are much worse jobs in this world to have. Um, but it's still a job.
Yeah,
And I think for some folks, and myself included, it can be tough when something especially if you come in as from a fan perspective, where, I've loved comics since I was a little kid. It's a little tough when something you love this much can treat you so brutally.
yeah,
It can be tough, on a professional level when you love it, and yet it's not always sunshine and roses, and sometimes it
sure.
starts feeling like it's never sunshine and roses. Um,
Yeah,
So I'm really excited right now coming out of that over the last few years is that I'm excited about comics again. I'm excited by what I'm working on, what I'm creating.
that's awesome. I mean, that's fantastic that, you're
But
still making comics.
I'm also excited to write another novel too. That's
Yeah.
I just I don't I don't like being bored. I don't like sitting and doing nothing. And I like telling different kinds of stories in different mediums most of the time.
Well, uh, I'm excited, like I said, to get your novel. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm excited to do that. Uh, I I think it's great that, all the comics work you've done, that you're also doing novels now. Um, to add to the list of things like, uh, RPG games and various and sundry other things that you've written.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, you that's the and see, there's the other side of it. I love role playing games, so of course I want to write some role playing game stuff. Marvel Marvel contacted me to do this book for the Multiverse role playing game. They wanted me to write a short comic story for the Deadpool role plays the Marvel Universe adventure module. And I was like, I don't want to write the comic, or I don't want to just write the comic. I want to write the whole thing. And they're like, wait, you like role playing games? It's like, yep. Have you ever written role playing game? Yeah, a little bit. I can fake my way through it. And I had so much fun writing that. And that book,
yeah.
even if you don't like, it's interesting to write a role playing game module from the perspective of Deadpool, which was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, it and so I also I know we're kinda bouncing around, but I wanted to make sure we covered everything, but I also wanted to talk about your, video podcast that you've have now, the Colonoscopy. Great title, by the way. But you've done that before with the podcast, but now you've added like a video component with I know some interviews. I think before we started recording, was checking out the one. I didn't get a chance to finish it with Stephen Graham Jones,
Mhm.
another fantastic horror writer.
Yeah.
So what made you want to do this in terms of like the video series, and what is it you hope to do with it?
Well, it's really there the goal is multifaceted. A couple of years ago, I sat down with 5 or 6 comic book creators, and we spent 3 or 4 days just talking about marketing and branding and how we're gonna present ourselves. And the
Yeah.
idea for doing a podcast like this came up, but didn't fully take shape. It was something that I thought about was a possibility for me. It didn't completely take shape. And then, in recent well, with working with Ignition, one of the things they wanted me to do was talk about my brand and how I wanted to, promote myself, not promote Ignition books, but promote me as a creator. And there were some very uncomfortable conversations because I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want to think about branding. And I worked in marketing for years before I became a comic creator, and I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. That's awful. Um, but one of the things that I landed on was I love the horror genre. I love talking about it in a way that I don't want to be too cerebral about it. I just want to talk about the things I enjoy and the things I like. And over the years, having worked in horror for so long, and I've met just a ton of different people, other creators, horror tastemakers, horror directors, horror novelists. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I did this video series where every episode I talk about a different element of the horror genre? Vampires, werewolves, ghosts, haunted houses, whatever. And for each of those episodes, I am joined by a co-host, a rotating cast of co-hosts. So you mentioned Stephen Graham Jones, one of my favorite novelists. Um, and Rebecca McKendry, one of the, one of the a great director, but also just a horror tastemaker and a horror expert. And just meeting with different people, and we don't discuss, so we discuss we don't set it up in advance. We get on there and we talk about whatever subgenre, and then each of us offers 5 or 6 different recommendations. So every episode, you're gonna get 10, 12 recommendations, and usually a lot more for movies, books, music, video games, comics. All of those things could be, all tied into it. So if we're talking about vampires, you're gonna hear about vampire role-playing games and vampire novels and vampire movies that you should check out. And it's just a lot of fun for me to sit and talk with people who are just into the genre, into the same things I am, and hopefully, my goal with it is that the folks who watch it feel like they're there with us. It's they're there with us talking about these different elements of the horror genre. And the colonoscopy, I was just like, just to show that we're not gonna take it too seriously, let's call it the colon.
Um, uh, so are there I who would be like is there anybody that's like a dream guest for you that you would love to have on to chat horror stuff?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Look, there's a number of directors and actors I wouldn't mind, sitting down with. I mean, I feel lucky. Like I said, Stephen Graham Jones, one of my favorite novelists. Grady Hendrix is one of my favorite novelists, and he's an upcoming get. We just recorded an episode last week. Um,
Oh, awesome.
so, uh, but yeah, there's just there's a ton. The thing is, it's a lot of work to put a video podcast together. It's not easy. It's so there's
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna keep expanding the lists of people who will sit down and talk about different things with.
Well, that's awesome. I think it's a great idea. I love just two creators just kind of like, you know, just chatting
W
about stuff that they're into.
Well, it's fun because every episode that I at least get a handful of recommendations that I wasn't expecting and things I'm not familiar with. So I'm getting ideas for things I wanna, read and play and everything and listen to. So
Yeah, and that is the great thing. That's what I love about doing this sometimes when I ask folks like, "Oh, what are you into right now?" or "What are you checking out?" or "What was your inspiration for this?" and somebody mentions something that I've, you know, never heard about. Um, yeah, that is a lot of fun. I also wanted to ask about you have uh, a charity, the Midnight Lantern Foundation.
yeah, uh, the Midnight Lantern Foundation is something very new. We just incorporated at the end of last year. We're a 501(c)(3) charity organization, and our goal is to make sure children and families have a wonderful holiday or wonderful birthdays, kids in need, families in need. We're gonna put great great holidays, great birthdays together for them, but we're doing it all through an angle of the horror genre and it's all the things I love and we love. Horror, fantasy, dark fantasy, science fiction. So it's comic books, games, toys, all these things that that make that get us excited, the members of the Midnight Lantern Foundation. And really it's all the things that geeks get excited about of in general. And we're putting together we're starting pretty small with just a smaller number of families this year, but we'll expand beyond that as we grow. But we're just going to put together uh, amazing holidays and birthdays for kids and the important thing is we say kids all the time, but it's kids and families. We're trying to put together really awesome holiday packages for them, and
Oh, that's great.
it's it's been like I said, we kind of just had our sort of official debut at Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. We put together just thousands of comic books in random 3 packs, and we just gave them out to anyone who wanted comics at that convention. They should have come and see. If they'd come and if they would show up at my table, they would get comics because we were passing out just thousands of comic books, and our goal is to do that or something similar to that at every convention I go to, or every convention that the Midnight Lantern sets up at. We're gonna be doing, passing out comic books. We're creating a zine, like a horror zine that's gonna be coming out soon at an upcoming convention called the Midnight Edition. And yeah, and so far it's been really cool to see even at this point where we're not, you know, where we're not out there where everyone knows about us. We've
Mhm.
got comic creators who are sending us, donation packages of things to give out to kids. Dark Horse just sent me a massive, just boxes and boxes of stuff that we were going through earlier tonight, to work to benefit the organization. So it's real exciting to see folks coming together on that, and yeah, and it's really it's one of those things that's open to anyone can contribute, anyone can offer up some help, and you can see what we're doing. We've got our, it's the midnightlantern.org is our website, and
And I'll put a link in the
yeah,
show notes so folks
and
can find it.
it's just it's very exciting. It's something Cindy and I have wanted. My wife Cindy and I have wanted to do something like this for years. And it just came about that, we were talking about it recently, and we're like, "It's time to pull the trigger on this thing and start kinda doing something, for the betterment of other people, and something that makes us feel like we're helping."
No, that's great, and I'll put a link to the show notes. And is that the best way for folks to go to the website to find out if they have
Yeah,
something to if they wanna contribute or if they wanna volunteer or help out?
yeah, they can go to the website, they can get all that information, and really, if you go to any of my, my website or my newsletter, you're gonna be able to find it pretty easily, pretty
Okay.
easily.
Yeah, but I'll I'll
Yeah,
I'll have links in the show notes for listeners. They can check
awesome.
all that out. So one of the other things I wanted to ask, and if any listeners are also, follow your newsletter, um, I saw that your son, I think, is going to be playing recently, at least as of your last newsletter, at Carnegie Hall and then college stuff. Byron, the current editor of Comic Book Yeti and the other host of the podcast, his son is going to be graduating soon and heading off to college as well. And I think Byron's having a bit of a difficult time with it. Much love to you, to Byron, and but I was curious, how are you and Cindy handling all of this?
Not well. It's
No.
it's not look, I sympathize with Byron. This is a change that you know, when we started off, we were like, "Oh, this sounded like it was just a year ago that I was talking about Shock Shop." Well,
Yeah.
this is the same thing. To me, my kid was a toddler, but feels like a year ago. And no, he's a full-on adult. He's gonna be, going off to college, and uh it's tough. It's tough to to realize you're not as needed as you once were. So In
Yeah.
comedy, there's this thing called the callback. So here's my callback. I think about my kid and all of his, his passing from one grade to the next and all his school photos. And I'm looking through all those school photos. And as I'm looking through them, a silverback gorilla is just throwing me around, just whipping me around the room. That's how it feels.
Uh, well, good luck with the next couple of months.
It's going next couple of months. I feel like this is going to be a big adjustment for me for a long. I mean, it's going to take a while for this one to to for me to accept what's going on in my life.
Yeah, I can imagine. My kids are a little younger, so I have a few more years yet until I'm there. But yeah, I can imagine. But good luck to him. Uh, that's awesome that he's
Thank
getting to play with his youth
Yeah,
orchestra or
yeah.
group at Carnegie Hall. That's amazing, and good luck as well to you and Cindy.
Thank you. We'll need it. We'll need it.
Uh, um, all right. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. I really appreciate chatting about all this stuff, listeners. This Deluge at Ignition Press, Ripcord with Ignition Press. I'll put a link so you can go and pick up Cullen's book, Bones of Our Stars, Blood of Our World. And I'll have a link so you can check out the Colonoscopy, the video series, and as well as the Midnight Lantern Foundation. Yeah, especially if you're somebody listening that thinks you have something that you can contribute or volunteer. I think that's awesome. And yeah, I look forward to despite there not being any pictures in it, I'm looking forward to Bones of Our Stars, Blood of Our World.
Maybe I should maybe start drawing pictures in them like it's at conventions. I could draw panels very poorly.
Yeah,
I could draw art
just
in these.
just like a
Yeah.
little something, a little illustration on the inside cover or something,
Mm,
you
just
know?
something to consider. I'll keep it in mind.
Uh, all right. Well, Cullen, thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining the Cryptid Creator Corner's Five Timers Club. We're
It
gonna
is
have
it's
T-shirts
a
made.
genuine honor. Genuine honor.
Well, I do appreciate it. And of course, shout out to my brother Bobby, the Cryptid Creator Corner's #1 most dedicated fan. Bobby listens to all my episodes, especially the Cullen Bunn ones, and I've definitely gotten a lot of mileage uh, out of that story where I first met Cullen, and my brother still gives me shit about it. But it was worth it. It was worth it. So, listeners, make sure you check out Cullen's work. You can find me on Blue Sky and TikTok if you want to talk about any of Cullen's books, because I've read a bunch of them, and yeah, we can just go through and talk. Maybe I'll start my own podcast where we just my a second podcast where we just talk about the work of Cullen. I have to
I like
come
this
up with a new
idea.
name.
I like the
Yeah,
idea. Um, and, uh, and I feel like you just don't have enough to do, so
I
you
don't.
should start another podcast.
Yeah. I got to come up with a cool name though. You've already taken colonoscopy,
Yeah,
so I gotta come up with something else.
I'll think on it too, and I'll send you some ideas.
Thank you. We'll workshop it. All right, listeners, thank you so very much for listening. Please rate and review us. Do all the stuff they tell you to do for podcasts. It really does help. You just leave like a quick little review, like, "Hey, I like this." That would be nice. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Good night.